France is one of the most important countries in history, and also one of the most chaotic. This is a nation that survived Roman invasions, Viking raids, revolutions, emperors, world wars, and somehow still has the energy to riot over retirement age. Over the last 2,000 years, France has produced legendary kings, terrifying armies, dramatic revolutions, and a man so ambitious he looked at Europe and thought, yeah, I could probably conquer that. From the rise of Charlemagne, to the chaos of the French Revolution, to Napoleon's speedrunning European warfare, this country's history is basically one giant season finale after another. So today we're diving into the complete history of France, the good, the bad, and the incredibly French. France began as a place where everyone was constantly invading everyone else. First came the Gauls, a bunch of tribes living in what is now France. They were doing fine until a certain Roman named Julius Caesar showed up and basically said, "Nice country, mine now." After years of brutal war, Rome conquered Gaul. The Romans brought roads, cities, aqueducts, and taxes, which nobody has enjoyed in any century. For a while, things were stable. Then Rome collapsed because maintaining a giant empire full of angry people turned out to be difficult. That's when the Franks arrived. The Franks were Germanic tribes who conquered the area and eventually gave France its name. One Frankish king, Charlemagne, became incredibly powerful. He conquered huge parts of Europe and was crowned emperor in the year 800. Basically, medieval Europe looked at Charlemagne and said, "That guy seems important. Let's give him a fancy chair." After Charlemagne died, his empire got split apart because medieval royal families treated continents like inheritance loot. Eventually, France became its own kingdom, ruled by kings who absolutely loved castles, wars, and making peasants do all the work. Then came the 100 Years' War between England and France. Despite the name, it actually lasted 116 years because medieval people apparently struggled with branding. England controlled huge parts of France, and things looked terrible for the French, until a teenage girl named Joan of Arc showed up claiming God told her to save the country. Somehow, against all logic, it worked. She inspired the French army, helped turn the war around, and became a national hero. The English eventually captured and executed her, which only made France admire her even more. Over time, France grew richer and stronger. Then came King Louis XIV, also known as the Sun King. This man loved luxury so much he built the massive Palace of Versailles just to flex on everyone in Europe. Meanwhile, regular people in France were starving, heavily taxed, and watching nobles spend money like it was a competitive sport. Naturally, this ended peacefully and respectfully. Just kidding. In 1789, the French Revolution began. Angry citizens stormed prisons, overthrew the monarchy, and introduced Europe to the concept of maybe kings shouldn't own literally everything. King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette both ended up executed by guillotine. France then entered a phase historians technically call extremely chaotic. Out of this chaos rose Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon was a military genius, master strategist, and living proof that confidence can carry a man very far. He conquered enormous parts of Europe and became emperor. For years, France dominated the continent while every other nation formed coalitions whose main purpose was basically, please stop Napoleon. Eventually, Napoleon invaded Russia during winter, which is historically one of the worst ideas any leader can have. The freezing weather, starvation, and constant attacks destroyed his army. He lost power, briefly came back because Europe apparently hadn't suffered enough, then lost for good at the Battle of Waterloo. France later went through multiple revolutions, empires, republics, and political disasters because French politics has always been incredibly calm and reasonable. In the 20th century, France fought in both world wars. During World War II, Germany invaded and occupied much of the country, but the French resistance fought back through sabotage, espionage, and refusing to give up. After the war, France rebuilt itself into one of Europe's leading powers. Today, France is famous for art, food, fashion, protests, and making bread sound more sophisticated than most languages. And somehow, after thousands of years of invasions, revolutions, emperors, and chaos, they still argue about parking in Paris.